This episode of Jackie's Groove is brought to you by Jambox. Jambox is a hands-free, breath-powered mini instrument that brings the joy of music creation to all ages and all abilities. Jambox. www.jamboxx.com.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Hey everybody, Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Talk Media, connect to all things music. You guys, my returning guest on the studio today is my good friend Shannon Rae. Shannon is 100 proof California country rock. Now get that into your brain, and we're going to talk all about Shannon Rae. And I'm also going to brag for Shannon, because Shannon is, to this day, out of all the huge names I've been blessed to interview. Shannon, I hate to tell you this, girl, but you got one of the highest ratings over the past 2 years. You've got a great situation. You got a great fan base, and you're amazing when it comes to social media. So with that said, I want everybody to welcome with open arms and open ears to Jackie's Groove, my good friend Shannon Rae. Shannon, my love, how are you, sweetheart?
I'm fantastic. So glad to be back, and love that I'm number one in the ratings there. I like it.
Yeah, no, well, I didn't say number one because it'll piss off.
Not number one, okay, but really good, right?
Yeah, you're definitely up there with all the big names. And let's talk about how we're going to make Shannon Rae a household name. Let's talk about...
Yeah, I'm sure working on it.
Yeah, what's going on? I mean, you can't fault yourself for not being involved with social media and so on and so forth. What's on your plate? Where can we stalk you? What's happening? Share with us.
Well, of course, there's my website, shannonrae.com. And you can find me on all social media, Instagram, Shannon Rae and 100 Proof, Facebook, Shannon Rae and 100 Proof, Twitter, Shannon Rae 100. I'm out there, and yes, I am known for doing the talk out there on social media. I've actually booked quite a few shows just because they're like, we know you'll get the word out.
Well, see, that's the whole
thing.
Then
we play and knock their socks off.
Yeah, it's to take advantage of what is out there, because, I've been in the business long enough. You've been in the business long enough. Things have changed drastically in the way of promotion, self-promotion, and so on and so forth. And, with that said, I'm gonna ask you a question. Even though you and I did the interview well over a year and a half ago, there's a couple questions I want to ask about you that I don't think I remember or I didn't ask you. But I'm going to ask you now, because I listened to all the different styles in the vein of country rock that you're doing. But you also have a very feminine side about you. Then again, too, with your tribute band with Pat Benatar, it's a rocket situation also. But what I want to find out, when you were growing up, because you are a mommy to a younger, beautiful little girl, and so on and so forth, and she's around that music around your household. But let's step back to when you were her age. What was the music that was playing in your speakers throughout the Rae household that you listened to? That you listened to, you loved it, and you said, I love this music, or I want to make music like this?
My definite inspirations come from I had a sister who was quite a bit older than me, and she had quite the record collection from the Beach Boys to, one of my biggest influences, Tom Petty. I love Tom Petty. And the Eagles and Linda Ronstadt. I listened to when I got, a little older than my daughter's 10. And when I got a little older than her, I branched out to all different kinds. I went, the metal way with Motley Crue and Cinderella and all of that kind of bands. And then, always went back to just plain old rock. I'm a huge John Cougar Mellencamp fan. And then I moved into country because I really love, Linda Ronstadt's country rock. And I always loved that. And then, the Judds came out, and people like that, Garth Brooks, Trisha Yearwood, all of that really, really inspired me because I love that style. So combined all of that into a country rock style.
Yeah, that you just mentioned Wynonna Judd. She actually followed me on Instagram, which blew me out of the water. And it was a blue check mark. Yeah, there's a blue check mark next to it. So I'm going to have the network to reach out to her because she's still very relevant. You mentioned
to add to that though, we are very fortunate. I just got word that we will be opening for Wynonna Judd at the end of the month on June 30th.
Good for you.
At the Canyon in Santa Clarita.
Good for you. How long of a set are you slated for?
I think 40 mintle. I think we're direct support and opening for her, and I'm too excited to meet her in person. I met her a few years back at the Mid-State Fair, but I'm just too excited to meet one of my biggest musical influences again. So it's exciting.
And that's so cool because my good friend of mine, Carney Wilson from Wilson Phillips, she just met Ann Wilson, and the cool thing about it was they both were talking about Jackie's Groove. And Carney being one of my dear friends.
We all talk about Jackie's Groove.
I love you, girl. But I'm just fact that Carney and I have been friends since 1988. And the fact of Ann Wilson, who I've known Ann, not personally, but I've, met her back in 1980. And the fact of the matter is that, I don't care how famous you are in the way of Carney Wilson. She still was taken aback by the fact that she was hanging out and not singing, just hanging out with Ann Wilson.
Yeah.
So with that said, without being gushing, and fandom spewing out of your blood and out of your pores, but what won't you say to Wynonna?
God, what?
Yeah, what?
I still think I go blah, 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 because that's how I'd feel when I meet her. I just, I met her, like I said, I met her years ago, and I think I was like that, like, okay, here she is. I was pretty starstruck because she just, I have all of her solo artist career stuff, and I would use that to warm up to, and, I know every word of every song, so it's, it's pretty big for me, like kind of probably how Ann Wilson was for Carney Wilson, although I would be I'd be pretty beside myself with Ann Wilson as well. But I don't know. I think I would just tell her how much I appreciate what she does and how it inspired me to do more. Because the thing I love about Wynonna is that I hear a lot of Elvis in her voice and in the way that she sings, and I always felt like I was the same. So when she started singing, I'm like, that's how I want to sing, like just with that confidence, that confidence and the swagger, just the confidence, the swagger, the tone, the delivery. I just always felt like she had like a female Elvis kind of approach. And that's what my mom always listened to, is Elvis. And that really inspired me as well. So,
and I'm going to ask this question only because I've been in or I have faced being an opening act or being a headliner with an opener. How do you overcome any questions, any furrowed brows? Other than the fact that you're physically beautiful and B, the fact is you can sing. But when you walk onto a stage and you are a supporting act for, in this case, Wynonna, how do you overcome the opening act syndrome, the furrowed brow for the people who want to come and see Wynonna and they don't know who Shannon Rae is, nor do they give a fuck about you? How do you overcome that, and how do you put them in your back pocket and make them believe in you and take away the Shannon Rae experience at the end of your show at 40 minutes?
Well, I just try to do my darndest and, come out with a humble approach, because I think, what I found about the country crowd is that they're pretty open to listening to new music. So it's a little more forgiving than I would say other genres. But, we have really, really great music, and I think people really appreciate that. And we opened for Marshall Tucker a month ago, and the people just loved it. And I had a number of people follow me since that show. So, and shown up at other shows. So, I think it's great. So,
now, when you're up there and you're addressing the situation, do you thank Wynonna for bringing you?
Of course.
Okay, I just want to make sure how you approach that.
She did have to approve of us. She had to approve us to be the opener. So.
And how did they approve of that? Was it all based upon your meetings of yesterday, or the fact that she actually listened to your music and saw your overall view?
No,
and
I think
vibe
they
on
just
stage?
submitted. They just submitted our promo to her and our EPK and everything. So yeah, we're also opening for Patti Smythe in Scandal at the end of July, and that's another influence.
These are all things that you can definitely put down in your bio. And speaking of bio, look back for a second. I want you to think about it and go ahead and brag itself. What is the number one thing that you love on your bio that to this day kind of makes you scratch your head and go, you know what? If I stop paying music today, I've achieved what I've wanted to achieve. What was that aha moment in Shannon Rae's career so far?
Well, I would just have to say it's, my first album. I put that first album out. I met my producer and songwriting partner, Dave Polich, and in 2013, and we were playing in a band together, the tribute band, and we started writing. He brought me in to sing on demos for him of country songs that he wrote, and then he goes, "Oh, do you like those?" I'm like, "Yeah, they're okay." And then I came back and he said, "I wrote one for you," and that particular song, "Gotta Let Go," we open our show with all the time now, and then that one song ended up going into 14-song album, and so just that when I thought that I was like, oh, I'm just going to do it for a hobby, and I always really wanted to pursue more original music, but like you were talking, in this day and age, it is a tough business. It's a really, everyone and their mother is putting out albums and, EPs and songs and, just singles on iTunes. And it's really a tough business to get everybody's attention. But, like you said, that social media expertise is paying off.
Well, and I want to ask that question because, again, I've been in the business and I've just interviewed a lot of very, people that are my age or plus, and how beneficial and or how the negatives of today's technology. And with that said, how has today's technology been a plus and a minus in Shannon Rae's business?
Well, I would say I want to address the minus first. The minus first. Well, I think in the minus in everybody's business, not just mine, but in everybody's, is that it's such a saturated, flooded market. So trying to get people's attention is, tough, and especially with all of these social media marketers that help you, get followers. I've heard of bands buying 15,000 followers. Well,
Absolutely.
Just to look good for promoters. And it's like, is that real? I mean, those aren't real followers. They might not even be people who are interested in your genre. So, I've been trying to grow my business, organically to get people who are actually interested in what I do. They spread the word. They spread the word, and I've been growing significantly over the last few months. So I'm happy.
And I asked that question because, I crack up because I was just listening to an interview with Sting, the infamous Sting. And we're talking about being Instagram famous. Here's Sting that's got 375,000 followers versus Janelle Sanders, who is considered to be the best butt on Instagram with 11 million followers. So what does that really, what does that really tell you? It tells you really nothing.
I know.
And so, but based upon that itself, let's go back to your physical. Let's go back to the tall girl who can sing her ass off and so on and so forth. Do you believe, or have you faced any, I'm afraid of you in the way of your strength, but have you found yourself to today's barometer, any casting couch situations?
I've had that happen, but I have always said no. And I always tell people, I'm like, I'd probably be a lot farther if I'd have said yes. But all of that disgusts me, that Harvey Weinstein stuff and all that. It's like, I just never, but then I've been approached like that maybe a handful of times in my whole career. But, I think I put off the air of like, don't even go there. So I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have to worry about it because I'm a pretty tough chick.
Miss Rae, let me ask you a question. If you were coming up in the industry as it stands today, let's say, let's go back 20 years. Do you think it would be easier to break through or do you think it'd be harder? Oh, yes.
I think it was
perfect.
easier for everyone because I don't think it was so saturated. That's what, we were talking about social media, and it's like it's so saturated that it's tough, but and the one thing I found on social media is that a lot of musicians follow musicians, and I'm like, okay, are the fans following us? There's a lot of musicians following each other, but they can also be fans as well. But the positive thing is about social media is that you can really reach a wide range of people and people that wouldn't see you otherwise. You don't have to go out and flyer, the whole county.
Right.
You can do it on social media. So.
Hey, Mama Ray, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Does your little baby girl, does she understand what Mommy does?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She digs my music. It's great.
Okay.
I'll hear her singing it in the other room. It's pretty cute. But, she loves people like Taylor. Like I just took her to Taylor Swift. Of course. That was her Christmas gift.
Oh, that's so cool. My nieces took her son, my great nephew, to I think it was a Forum Rose Bowl. And
at the Rose Bowl, that's where I was. 60,000 people.
And he absolutely, for Cameron's little, he's still smiling. That he got a chance.
Yeah.
And truth be told, Kimberly, my niece, said I think she had more fun than Cameron had. And it's okay.
It was great. It was a really great show, great production. Amazing production, and it was pretty cute because my daughter was like, "Mommy, that'll be you one day." It was pretty cute.
Oh God, from your lips to God's ears, little one.
But I have to tell you, I learned a lot from Miss Swift that night. It's like she's got some swagger herself, so it's pretty cool.
Friends of mine, a good friend of mine, Mark Schulman, is the drummer for a girl by the name of Pink, and. And my niece just went back and saw Pink over at the Honda Center here in Anaheim. And she's
I heard that was an amazing show as well.
Amazing, for the lack of a better word. For this girl, and you as a singer, just strutting it on stage, and doing what you got to do. But can you imagine swinging around on a trapeze and your intonation is still amazing.
And still singing. No, I cannot imagine that. And I would never even attempt that.
Shannon, what do you do to keep your voice, other than your body and everything else in tip-top shape? What do you do to keep your voice? Do you have radio silent days at all, or are you always jabbing around?
I do. The day after a show, we had a big show in Tustin on Sunday, and the day after, I kind of give myself a little bit of rest, and then I have a show tomorrow night at Harrah's Rincon in San Diego.
Right down the street.
It's the Cowboy Boots and Swimsuits summer concert series out by the pool. It's going to be pretty cool. It's tomorrow night, June 7th at 8 o'clock.
Beautiful women in bikinis. I don't know if the network would even approach that at all. And I want to say thank you for making me smile. I when we talked to each other a couple weeks ago, we tried to get everything together and try to move a situation, scheduling around. I lost one of my best friends last week, and
I'm so sorry.
And I say this wholeheartedly: "Fuck you, cancer." And so I
Indeed.
Canceled everything.
Indeed.
Yeah, I canceled everything. In fact, Florentino and Paul had asked me earlier, "Are you up to do the shows?" I said, "Yeah." I couldn't imagine not doing the shows today.
Well, thank you for being here. I'm so sorry for your friend. I'll say a little prayer.
No, say a big prayer because he was just an amazing person. So, with that said, on the upbeat situation. Let's talk about what's currently going on with your situation right now and your new album. Let's talk about the genesis and what separated that album from its previous album. Go ahead and share with us.
Well, I think as an artist with every album, you kind of learn and grow. And, I am very, very proud of my first album, Shannon Rae.
Absolutely.
But this album, I am just through the moon. I mean, I'm through the roof, to the moon. Just, it's awesome.
Why?
It's called Lucky 13, and 13 has always been my lucky number. Right. And when Dave and I were going through the songs, he's like, "How many do we have?" And I'm like, "Dave, how many do we have now? Do we need to take some off or add some?" And he's like, "Let me count." He's like, 1, 2, 3. He's like, 13. I'm like, "Perfect."
Done.
He's like, he goes, "That's a horrible number." And I'm like, "No, 13's my lucky number." I was born on Halloween, and it's always Friday the 13th. It's always been a fantastic day for me. I'm like, that's perfect. Let's do it. Let's go with it. So we went with that, and the title, the debut single is called "Get Lucky." Dave wrote some music, and he called it. He was funny because I had the song, and it's kind of like, you guys remember that old '80s band called Roxette? He's like, it's kind of like country Roxette. And I'm like, okay. And he hands it to me. And the minute I took it home, I heard the lyrics that came to me immediately. Immediately, I was like, get lucky. This is it. So that one came out like really well. And we filmed a really, really fantastic video for it. And I hired a choreographer, Kristal Lynn, who's a fantastic line dancing instructor. She made the little line dance that I did, and I hired my girlfriend, Tanya Calandra, and we're a little blonde trio there doing a little line dancing in the video. It's really cute.
Little boot scoot boogie, huh?
Let me tell you, I am the worst dancer ever.
Please,
well, I'm great freestyle, but when it comes to, like following an actual dance, I'm like, that wasn't me. I played I played baseball and softball. I wasn't a dancer in school, so it's pretty funny.
I tell you, I crack up because every time I've gone to, in the yesteryears of weddings where everybody would do the hokey pokey and you would turn yourself around, has been exchanged now for line dancing. And there's always one person that wants to get up going, and I love it. I mean, I miss the time my
Even
wife
if it's
would
just
be
the electric slide.
There you go. My wife was notorious for coming up with the conga line. Her husband being a percussionist, and so when you sit there and turn a 200 people wedding into a situation where old people with their walkers are in the conga line having a good time, that's what it's all about. And when you walk on stage, in this case, let's step away from this weekend at Harrah's Rincon. Let's talk about an opening act. Let's just talk about. In fact, let's not talk about an opening act. Let's talk about Shannon Rae. When you are in front of it, when you are sitting down and looking at your set list. And for the listeners out there, what I mean, a set list is a list of songs that you stay from A to B or from 1 to 15, whatever it may be. Do you ever find yourself having to change your set list or to embark away from it because you haven't gauged your audience like you thought you were going to? And how do you overcome that problem?
No. I think our songs, I mean, we add and take away songs now that we have 90 minutes of material plus, and we pretty much just play what we love, and we found that everybody loves that. It's like, I mean, people have their favorites, of course, but there isn't, there's a couple songs that I go, I don't want to play that or something like that because I don't feel like playing a ballad. But besides that, I'm ready to rock. I love there isn't any of the songs on either album that I don't like. I don't think I would have put them on there if I didn't like them.
Well, obviously. And when the moniker or the marquee's got your name on it, it very much is it's all what you say. But with that said, with the band that you hire, obviously the talent that brought you there to play with you, what keeps the players there? Is it their attitude? Is it their playing ability? Is it a mixture of all those in between? What keeps you in Shannon Rae's band?
Yeah, you know what? I have a fantastic band, and most of them have been with me from the beginning, and I love it. They're dedicated. They love the music. They believe in the project, and it's been a really great ride. I mean, my lead guitar player and musical director, Rick Galliano, that guy can play, he can play huge. He's a huge Joe Satriani fan, and he can play just like him. I mean, he's fantastic. I mean, I wish my music was a little more complicated for him sometimes because he could keep his fingers in check. But, and then I have a really fantastic bass player that guy has so much energy. Rick Thibodeau, fantastic.
That name sounds really familiar to me.
Yeah, he's been in quite a few bands, and he's played with a lot of big names. And he's really great. And go ahead.
No, right before we went live, I just interviewed an amazing group called Goodnight Texas. I definitely want you to check them out. Amazing. It's their third album out now called Conductor, and it's definitely in your wheelhouse.
It's country rock.
A country folk, amazing vocalist, and with a great PR firm called Jensen Communications. And they brought him to me, and I became a fan of theirs. And I'm also a fan of yours, and I want everybody to get a chance to go to a small site called YouTube and dial in SHANNONRAE and look at Shannon and overcome her physical attributes. Listen to her voice. Listen to how she owns the stage.
Embrace.
Oh, embrace. That's the good word. And I'm married going on it'll be 35 years this November. I know you're married, and thank you, love. But what is it that keeps our better halves? In this case, you're a musician, so you lost that title of being a better half. What keeps the two of you going in the way of trust, in the way of overcoming groupies, and so on and so forth? What drives you home to that man after every performance?
Well, you just got to have that trust. And if you don't have that, you really don't have anything, do you?
Agreed.
So,
and
he trusts me. I trust him. And at the end of the day, we're at home together. That's all that matters,
Yeah. And does he dig Shannon Rae's music?
Yeah, of course he does. But he's actually a drummer himself, and he's a metal guy. He loves to play metal and listen to metal, and
And that's so funny because I asked that question, Shannon, because my good friend of mine, her name is Amy McDonald. She is the wife of 35 years to Michael McDonald, and she's
I think
currently
you told me about her before. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and her new album, is called A Light on My Path. Do yourself a favor, my love, and pick up this CD. It's called A Light on My Path by Amy McDonald, and it features David Pack and David Crosby and Michael's band and so on. But the thing the reason I'm bringing it up, and the reason why I asked you, does your husband love your music? She's probably still laughing, but I asked Amy about the fact that, what's it like being married to a living legend? A man that is at 60, 65 years old, that is still selling out everywhere he goes. And then she calls me and she goes, I'm going on the road with Michael. I'm singing background with Michael. I said, well,
that's cool.
During an interview I did last year or a year and a half ago with Michael and Amy, I said, Jesus, Michael, why don't you sleeping with a woman? Why don't you hire her? The girl's got an amazing voice. So with that said, and after she's laughing, let me ask you about a question about being smart. Your husband, your other half, better half, being a great drummer, what keeps you from having
he is a great drummer.
And what keeps him from being in Shannon Rae's band? Or is that your choice? Is that his choice?
I absolutely love him, and I think he's a fantastic drummer. But if he was in my band, we might sound like Motley Shannon. So
okay, all right.
And he takes care of our daughter when I'm on the road and touring and stuff. So, but I have a fantastic drummer. Toby Scarborough is he's fantastic. He's the newest member. Well, he and my fiddle player are the newest members, but they, Christina Kay on fiddle, by the way. She's so cute. She's I call her my little Polly Pocket because she's only 5'1".
And give a shout out to your band, would you? Go ahead and give a shout out to your band right now.
I am. My band is fantastic. My keyboard player, Dave Polich, also my producer and songwriting partner, and my other guitar player, Ted Mentry, who brings the country to the band. They're just fantastic. They've all been with me through thick and thin, and they're very dedicated, and I'm excited to have them on board.
Shannon, if you could snap your fingers right now and add to your bucket list or check off the bucket list, who do you want to perform with and or support?
I think Brad Paisley.
Okay, why?
I love his guitar style, and I think he's just a phenomenal performer, and his songs are fantastic. And I think, and also another biggie would be Keith Urban. But I think every girl would like that.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I told my wife 2 nights ago I had a dream that I was hanging out with Keith Urban, but he wasn't married to Nicole. He was married to some other woman. But I was I said, oh, Keith, I said, why don't you meet my wife, Caprice? And Caprice goes, oh, hey, Keith, how are you? And then I woke up from the dream and I thought to myself, what the hell did I think about? You think about what would bring Keith Urban into your dreams at all. And the reason why I asked that question with regards to opening up and you saying so on and so forth, I just spoke to a good buddy of mine, Rich Redmond, who's a drummer for a gentleman by the name of Jason Aldean. And we're talking
that wouldn't
about
be too bad either.
Well, yeah, the reason why we're talking is because, we can't believe it's already been how many months since the Vegas shooting on October the 1st, and where Jason and the band was rushed off stage because they were the performing people at Route 99. With that said, and it's kind of a weird segue, but, we talk about things that can go wrong, that do go wrong, and will go wrong in the life of a musician. Can you think back and share with the listening audience out there and your fans something that they may not know about, and how you were able to overcome a bad situation on the road? Can you think about that for a second?
I really haven't had that. I've been very blessed. Besides having some vocal issues, I really haven't had any, bad problems. Besides forgetting a tambourine or, a set list or something like that. But mean, I've gotten, I have a 10-year-old daughter, so I've had a cold here and there before a show, and I've been like, oh my gosh, am I going to make it through that? But, you overcome and you push and you get through.
I don't know how long of a tenure that you're away from your family on any given tour. When I ask,
it just depends, Yeah,
when I ask a lot of the great interviews, how do you approach, being away from the family? And the catalyst of the question is, through all the beautiful places around this world we've traveled to, where's your favorite place to be? And you'd be amazed that 95% of all the answers is not Italy, it's not Switzerland, it's not Montreux, it's home. So when you get home, and
it is. I know. They complain about that because they're like, "Let's go somewhere." I'm like, "No, let's just be at home."
Exactly.
No, you don't want to go anywhere, and I feel bad for that. But we live in a beautiful beach community, and it could be worse. So I'm happy. I'm very happy to stay home.
Shannon, it's funny when you think about it because when we're in the capacity that you and I are on, and me being a hired gun, but you being the front woman. We're surrounded by a lot of people with the noses and parts of our body we don't want. It's called having the noses up your ass, and so on and so forth. And it gets a little bothersome at the same time too. It's kind of neat where everything is available at your beck and call. But the cool thing about reality is, when I get home, when I'm done with the major show, I'm done with the major recording, and I've hung out with the who's who of the greatest players. But when I get home, I'm no longer Jackie Bertoni, the radio host. I'm no longer Jackie Bertoni, the percussionist. My name is Hey You. The trash needs to be put out. The dog poop needs to be picked up off the lawn, and so on and so forth.
I hear you.
How do you address that? Do you welcome that? Yeah. Is that something that you do?
Well, I am the queen of my castle. I run it pretty tight, but
sure.
I'm pretty busy though. I'm an indie artist supporting myself at this point. I don't have some team behind me yet, but
right.
I'm busy doing that a lot, and but I am garnering a team. I am now with Faux Music LLC, which is an all entertainment management and agency. And Mitch Thomas has been doing a great job for me. As a matter of fact, got me the Winona gig and a bunch of others coming up. And but when I'm at home, I get them on my team too, helping me with my social media and doing all that. Sure. And I juggle it all. I'm a girl who gets it done.
Shannon, let me ask you a question. You mentioned the word girl. Share with me and my listeners worldwide about the struggles of being a woman, female, someone with ovaries in this industry that is still to this day a male-dominated industry. What struggles have you faced with being a woman in the industry, in a male-run industry? And we talked about the fact of being a casting couch and the Harvey Weinstein.
You don't think that's changed over the last couple of years? I mean, I really think that we've, it's come with the whole Me Too movement. That's kind of brought everything to a different level, and I feel like things are being done quite differently now.
I agree with you, but
I have felt that over the years, yes, and but
I'm a man. I'm a man.
But I'm a strong girl. I am a very strong girl, and I just get it done. I don't listen to any of that. I just go get it done. Well, and I help all my girlfriends get it done too.
Well, I mentioned that because again, being married to a strong woman, also an Italian woman. When I'm watching the Me Too movement, and every woman sitting there, and they're talking about sexual harassment and so on and so forth with their dresses. Yeah. And please forgive me and my listeners. But when you have a dress and a plunging back or your cleavage is out and it's the me boob movement. But my wife said to me, she actually yelled at me and she goes, "How dare you, when you are a man and you're not a woman, that has faced this scrutiny," and so on and so forth. So I do apologize for not being more sensitive to that. I think it's disgusting what men are, and it makes me embarrassed to be a man at times. But when it comes to that, I mean, it's still, I don't care how strong you are or how big your balls are for being a woman, but how do you overcome, do you ever play the coquettish, beautiful woman to get your way? And be honest with me.
Well, I think I naturally turn on the charm, but, I'm not going to try to sell someone who's not buying, I don't know. I play it smart and I choose my path wisely and just, go with my gut. And, I think we have a great product. So I really don't run into too many no's, but, we just keep banging on those doors and pounding the pavement, and we're getting somewhere.
And I thank you for saying that, because, I've always said this, and I took a rash of shit from people talking about the millennials and how it's hard to become famous because there's only a small, minuscule percentage of people who become famous because of YouTube.
Yeah.
But
you just got to work hard,
You've got to work hard. You've got to get bruised up. You've got to get cut up. You've got to get doors slammed in your face.
And we've gotten turned down, but you just got to keep going. I mean, I have no booty left. I work my booty out so hard.
Yeah, well, but let me ask this question.
But it's fun.
Forget
the challenge. The challenge is so fun, Jackie. I can't tell you. I love pushing ahead and going for it and making great music and watching people sing along and move their booties, and it's just a great time.
And that's so cool. I'm glad you said that, because I was going to ask a question, and I usually ask this. A question I asked Ann Wilson, and I loved her answer. But I'm going to ask you also, because you've been in the business long enough. But if you were coming up in the music business as it stands today, would it be easier or harder to break through? And how would your strategy be different? Good question. Give me a good answer.
You mean if I was just starting right now?
If you were coming up in today's business, how would your strategy be different? As opposed to what it was 10 years ago?
I don't know if it would necessarily be different. I think you have to. The one thing that a lot of that I've noticed that a lot of younger talent coming up is that they think that they deserve to be on huge stages without paying their dues. I'm like, oh, come on, you gotta work out those bugs on some smaller stages. And I mean, the younger crowd also has the social media on their side though too, like we're talking about. Get your word out quicker. But
I agree, because I'm sitting here and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to ask this question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. When you are self-promoting yourself, obviously, I only watch American Idol not for the performances, but I watch it for the tryouts, because people are oblivious to how bad they really are. And with that said, and you have the benefit of being a great singer, and you have great stage presence.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I mean, I wouldn't, credit's given where credit's due.
No, I mean, I never get tired of hearing that, Jackie. I work very hard.
That's the whole idea. But when you're up on stage and you're performing to the masses, do you ever stop and think and look out when you're performing? Do you ever become Shannon Rae, the mom, the human being other than the entertainers, and looking out into the sea of faces out there, and ever question yourself exactly why you're doing what you're doing? You were made to do this, or
I love that.
Okay,
I love that. Like, for instance, like this Saturday, we're playing at the Coach House in San Juan Capistrano.
My favorite, Gary Fuller.
And it's our actual album CD release party, and a bunch of my daughter's friends will be there, and I love seeing their faces. And I know a couple of them are up-and-coming singers themselves, little 10-year-olds that love to sing and that come to me and, ask me questions about vocal exercises and what it's like and everything like that. I mean, that part makes me feel just so, I love that I actually help them, and come up into their own in the music industry. And, my friend Tanya, she has two sons that one is, I think he's 13 and one is 8. The drummer's 8 and her son is 13, and they have a little band called Stink Inc., and they're a punk band doing like some Green Day and stuff like that. And I've been mentoring them, and that's what's really rewarding is helping them and watch them achieve their little dreams. And they're so cute. And the up and coming music business, by helping our children get better and better at what they do and exposing them to music and getting them off of iPads and stuff like that. I love it. It's great. It's very rewarding.
When's the last time you played or were at the Coach House? When's the last time you actually physically were there?
I would say probably 3 months ago, 4 months ago.
Okay, so you've been there since they redid the upstairs and so on and so forth. Now, will your baby girl and her girlfriends be sharing a private room, or will they be in the middle of it all?
No, they're going to want to be right down in front, center.
Okay.
They'll be right down in front.
I'm trying to draw a picture for
singing.
Yeah, I'm trying to draw a picture for those who don't know the Coach House. The Coach House is our contemporary Golden Bear, located in San Juan Capistrano. Holds about 650 people, even more if the fire marshal's not paying attention. My good friend Gary Folder is the owner of the company. Gary, how are you? I love you, my brother. And
hi, Gary.
I will tell you to this day, girl, when you walk down from the backstage area, when you walk past the lighting, now close your eyes and follow me here. And you're walking around, and you come down that little black and white checkered walkway to the stage, and you make that left-hand turn, and the usher's there with the flashlight to make sure you're not going to fall on your ass. But I told Gary to this very day, in fact, Jan from Jan and Dean, we both talked about this, including other great artists. We're trying to get Gary to put a fucking handrail up there, even though it's only 3 steps to the stage. Getting up on stage.
There was a handrail there, Gary.
Everybody says, Gary, we'll pay for it. Just put it up there, because as we get older, me with MS, I mean, going up that stage, going up the stairs is not a problem. It's coming down the stairs. And when you're done playing a 90-minute set and you're tired and you're walking off and you got to walk down the 3 steps and walk up the 17 steps upstairs. I love the Coach House. I mean, I will always love the Coach House. You got to love
the Coach House. It's got so much. I mean, if those walls could talk. And we're going to, so I am performing for 1 hour at 8:00. And after that will be the Petty Breakers. And the Petty Breakers are the #1 tribute to Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And I absolutely adore these boys. They are such great musicians, and they do Tom Petty justice. And
what are your fans going to, where do you bring it to your fans at the Coach House? What are they going to expect for that 1 hour show? Are they going to see Shannon Rae playing all the tunes, all of her hits, or are you concentrating on the new album only?
We're doing like a handful from the first album, and then we'll do most of it will be the second album. Will be from Lucky 13. We're excited for people to hear those new songs.
You mentioned a little while ago being a music mentor, and so on and so forth. And I mentioned this on a regular basis. I'm going to mention it to you also, girl. I want you to write this down. If you haven't got a pen handy, please get one. Okay. And I want you to write down this company that I am the worldwide ambassador. The company is called Jambox, Jamboxx. Jambox, Shannon, is a USB plug-in, breath-powered MIDI instrument. Looks like a larger harmonica, but for those people, and when you go to the website, get a box of tissues also, because you're going to see babies, that are young musicians. That due to MS or muscular dystrophy or any type of disease that would hold them back from being a quadriplegic to a paraplegic that can't use their hands. Jambox is an instrument now that they can play music by using a
like the USB speaker?
I'm sorry?
Is it a USB speaker, you mean?
No, honey. It's imagine sitting down and having your keyboard player.
Play music.
Play music. And so
how exciting.
What the world took away from our babies, or even people that are our age or our contemporaries that can no longer play because they've lost the ability. Jambox is amazing. And when they came to me and asked me if I would represent them worldwide because of me having MS, but I'm fortunate, thank God, that I still play. But I just recorded a song recently using Jambox. Now, a keyboard player who can sit there and replicate and MIDI in percussion, congas, shakers, tambourines, and so on. But what happens when Shannon, God forbid, can no longer use her hands and is confined to a ventilator that have been playing music all your life, but all of a sudden this instrument now comes out that you can sit down and have your caregiver put the instrument in its stand and play everything that you played with before. And that's why I bring up the fact of you being a mentor. When you're around all these beautiful children, I don't want people to discount the brothers and sisters out there, regardless of the age, that were musicians or always wanted to be musicians but couldn't because they couldn't pick up an instrument. I would like every one of my interviewees, including Shannon Rae, to check this out, because especially
I will definitely check that out.
Yeah, that you're mentoring the young sets out there. Now, with that said, and that's my soapbox, I'll talk about Jambox, but Shannon, being in today's music business, or the lack thereof, the music that we're writing and so on, You mentioned a little while ago Taylor Swift and so on. She's great when it comes to avocation of keeping music from being stolen and so on. But does Shannon Rae, who's not 21 years old, she's 25, and the fact of the matter is, now that you're in the industry and you're in it, do you understand today's music? Yes or no?
Do I understand? Oh, today's music?
Today's music. I hate to sound like a parent.
I mean, I listen to it quite a bit because I have a 10-year-old. So I get it. It seems a little repetitive and not quite as creative as older music. But then there's some standouts. I mean, I think Taylor Swift writes some pretty good songs, but
there's good music out there. You got to delve deeper to get it. But I want to tell a young writer, all the young musicians out there, there's a 4-letter word that you guys don't have in your music, and it's called hook.
It's called what?
It's called a hook, and it's called a hook. Yeah. And also too, it's a 5-letter. It's called the bridge.
Yeah.
Learn how to write this. Listen to.
Yeah, they're very repetitive. Yeah, the songs are very repetitive. So. Yeah.
Shannon, let me ask you this question.
I would like to talk about a song on the album that's very special to me.
Share it and tell us why and tell us the genesis of that tune.
Well, so Dave and I wrote the first album, and we got to 14 songs, and I'm like, I wanted to put 10, and he's like, oh, but I don't want to leave these ones off, and there was more than 14, and I'm like, well, let's just push those to the second album or put them on the shelf, and we'll come back to them.
Okay.
And so when the first album came out and we started working on the second one, he's like, we started, going through all the songs that we had left over and some new ideas, and he had written a song for the first album called Coming Back Girl. And when I listened to it, I was like, oh, that music is fantastic. But he wrote the music and the lyrics, and I was like, those lyrics, Dave, they're so not me. He's written a couple songs. Like he wrote one song that said, it was like, da-da-da-da-da, I'm going to feed a lot of hogs. And I'm like, Dave, I am never going to feed a lot of hogs. I live in Southern California. He's like, you're playing a character. And I'm like, no, that's just not me. I don't feed hogs. I don't want to sing about feeding hogs. So, but he wrote Coming Back Girl, and it didn't have the hogs in it, but the lyrics just weren't me. And he goes, well, then here, take this one home and write some lyrics. And so I took it home, and I had it for about 3 or 4 months, and usually the lyrics just come to me, and nothing would come. And then a couple months later, my dad had a heart attack and died within 1 week.
I'm so sorry, sweetheart.
And thank you. I mean, he's such an influence for me. He was a very strong man and made me the strong woman I am today. And so within a month of his passing, the lyrics just came, and I always get emotional when I talk about it. But anyway, the song is now renamed. The lyrics just came, and the song is now called "Daddy's Girl." And it talks about how he told me be honest, be humble, be strong. Everything that he taught me how to do. And it's a very emotional song, and it's very hard for me to get through to sing it, but I do now. Like when we first started recording it, I couldn't even get through it. And Dave's like, you're going to have to get to a space where you can sing this without crying. So
how does that
I am there, but it's tough still.
When we talked, and we do talk occasionally, as friends and as musicians and stuff, and you mentioned the fact, hey, I'd love to come back on the show. And I said, but and I'll reiterate, and I'll say, well, let me find out from the network what the schedule is. And I mentioned Florentino, the CEO of our network, and I said, hey, do you remember Shannon Rae? And of course, right before I even said Ray, he goes, of course. And I said, she wants to come back on because she's got, and before I could even tell you why you want, let's get her back on because her ratings were that high. And so I just got a text from a little while ago. Florentino's in the studio right now. He wants to come on and say hi to you. He's a fan of yours also. And so Shannon, say hi to Florentino. Florentino, say hi to Shannon, please.
Hey, Shannon, how you doing?
Hi, Florentino.
You guys enjoying yourselves?
We are. We always do.
That's what this radio show is all about. Just for us to enjoy ourselves.
That's right. That's right.
I'm excited about the new album. Obviously, you got that big concert that's coming up tomorrow, and I'm glad that
tomorrow and Saturday.
Yeah, I was glad that we were able to make this happen. Jackie had a doubleheader today, so that was kind of wonderful. And it's like all country today, huh, Jackie?
Yeah, all country all the time, Jackie.
I'm going to go out
Jackie's country groove.
Yeah, I'm going to slap a pig right now, and I'm going to go out and slap something.
Well, you need to change your you need to change your driver hats and all the other ones that you wear, and just wear a Stetson, brother. That's what you need.
Exactly.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. It's well, you guys have been talking about some really cool things, and that was pretty touching what you were talking about with your song Daddy's for your pops and everything. I know that people are going to be getting just so much tomorrow night. Give us a little bit of I don't know what to say, a spoiler alert, but maybe a Jackie's Groove scoop. What would something tomorrow be? What would you be doing tomorrow that might surprise people that you're going to be doing for this very special event?
Oh, well, we're doing a full 90-minute set tomorrow. We're playing everything tomorrow night, which is it's a great thing for we're the headliner on this, and this concert series has a lot of big names on it. Eli Young played last week, and Diamond Rio's playing pretty soon, and Cam and Drake White. I mean, this is a huge concert series, so we're excited to be on this. It'll be a beautiful night in San Diego, and we're playing everything, so everyone can come out and see. And we'll be having our CDs for sale and some merch, and would love to meet everybody after the show. And it's just going to be a beautiful night out by the pool. Cowboy boots and swimsuits.
When's Downbeat, Shannon?
8 o'clock, 8 p.m.
And I want to tell the listeners out there, Florentino, forgive me for being forthright, but Shannon will not be wearing a bathing suit. Nor will she be wearing a bathing suit with. We can only.
I tried to talk my fiddle player into it.
There you go.
She won't do it.
In honor of this, Jackie will wear his bathing suit, and I might even throw on one myself.
Come on out, Jackie.
There you go.
A one-piece or two-piece, Jackie.
Yeah, whatever doesn't make people throw up.
You mean Florentino? You're not on the show right now to tell us that you're going to wear your bikini out there with your cowboy boots.
I'll pull my two-piece out. That's all good.
Stop.
No,
we'd love to see you out there.
Definitely. Well, hey, you have a wonderful time. I don't want to interrupt this great conversation that you guys are doing. I just wanted to jump on and say thank you for joining us as always.
Oh, you're so welcome. Anytime.
And much success as it is. Once you've been on the radio.
Thank you. Lots coming.
Yeah, once you've been on the radio network, you are definitely part of the family. So,
thank you.
All right, enjoy, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, girl, let me ask you a question. It's something I wanted to find out from you because I feel like I've known you over the last year and a half, 2 years. But I'm curious to find out. What would you tell a younger Shannon Rae about yourself, about the music business, about life? And what's the one thing you would leave behind as advice, lesson, or maybe even a legacy at this point in your life? What would you tell that younger Shannon Rae? Share with us, please.
If I could turn back time, I would have probably given up that modeling career and just moved to Nashville sooner. Not sooner, but I would have done that.
Right.
I had the opportunity many times to move to Nashville, but I didn't because that modeling career just, that money was just so good. I couldn't get rid of it.
Addictive, I'm sure.
But, but regardless of if you're, the great thing about today is that, country music is not just in Nashville anymore, and there are all kinds of different country music. And I respect Nashville and everything that comes out of it. And I definitely want to be a part of that. But I think that, the Cali country music scene is really growing. And,
yeah,
that's the one thing about being a country musician today is that, you can do it everywhere now because it is everywhere. So for that, what would I tell her? I would tell her to just keep trudging along and keep going for it. It's just such music is just such food for the soul, and it really, just pursuing what you love and doing that is just such a great feeling. And watching my musicians and listening to them play my music or our music, I should say, is just such, it's addicting, That's a good thing, man.
Let me ask you this other question. I'm looking at the last 2.5 minutes of this show that's blown by. Actually, Caprice, my wife, came up with this question. I'm going to ask it again. I haven't asked this for a while. I asked it earlier on my last interview. If the word music wasn't in your vocabulary, wasn't in your vernacular, if music didn't exist in Shannon Rae's life, what would Shannon be doing today?
Something creative.
Like?
I would in today's world, I would probably either be an agent or a promoter or a social media manager or maybe even a hairstylist. Something creative.
Wow. Something
creative.
Yeah. That's
and I love to paint as well, so I might delve into that if I had more time to do that.
I want to thank, my old buddy of mine, so many years behind us, Dirk Yarborough. He's the one that introduced you and I together. And
that's right.
And
we gotta love Dirk.
No, you have to. And it's like not everybody does, but that's okay. Dirk, I love you, and that's all that matters.
He has fantastic ideas, by the way. He does. He's just a plethora of ideas.
He's touched. Let's put it that way. I can say that because I've known him too many years. Shannon, within the last minute and a half, let's start doing an overview. You're playing tomorrow at Harrah's Rincon.
Playing tomorrow at Harrah's Rincon.
Okay, and go ahead
cowboy
and
boots
give
and
it.
Swimsuits.
Perfect. And this coming Saturday at
the Coach House with the Petty Breakers. And to get tickets for that, you go to my website and get tickets directly from me with no fees.
Go ahead, give the website, please.
And Shannon Rae, RAE.com. And we're also playing at Lake Gregory on June 22nd and opening for Winona on June 30th at the Canyon in Santa Clarita.
Guys, please go out and patronize this young woman. Her music is amazing. Her show is even, to me, bringing that music to life. Don't steal music, man. Go pay for it. She's not doing this for her.
That's right.
And
our album Lucky 13 is available on every digital retailer and on our website. Done.
Wherever music is sold. So with that said, guys, my name is Jackie Bertoni. My show is called Jackie's Groove, and the network is called Intertalk Media. Connect all things music. And my in-studio guest today, for the second time, is the beautiful and ever-talented Shannon Rae. Shannon, thank you so much for being part of this craziness called Jackie's Groove. You've been jumped in. There's no getting out, girl. And as always, whenever there's something new coming up, please reach out. And if it's available, I'll make it available to the listeners. Guys, thank you once again. As I always say with all my ending broadcasts, peace through music. Shannon, Godspeed. Give your baby girl a hug and give your husband a bigger hug for putting up with all the shit that you put him through. So,
thanks, Jackie.
So with that, we'll talk soon and knock him dead, girl.
Thank you, darling.
Bye-bye.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.